All right. So I have to start by wishing you a very happy bicycle day. So happy bicycle day. And
Okay, that's a thing.
oh, you don't know about a bicycle day?
You have to tell me all about it.
So this weekend is like kind of considered to be like, I guess like psychedelic Christmas, tomorrow being
Okay.
420. Bicycle day is, I think the guy's name is Albert Hoffman. He's the first guy that like intentionally dosed himself with LSD. And then while he rode his bicycle home from the lab that he was working at, and he gave himself like a hero's worth dose and basically tripped his balls off. But like ever since then has kind of become like a hero in like the psychedelic community because he kind of started LSD as like, it kind of put it in the consciousness of
Okay, I love
psychedelics.
it. I love your description of it all too. So thank you.
Um,
And thanks for having me to chat with you today.
you're very welcome. So now we usually get this rolling with an introduction. So tell the lovely people of the World Wide Web who you are and what you do.
Okay, my name is Gina Vensel, and I'm the publisher of Sensi Magazine in Pittsburgh and the owner of Easy Street Promotions. We do events, marketing, and music in Pittsburgh and run livemusicpgh.com.
Right on. And that's actually perfect for what I wanted to get into next. So before we move into some other things, I feel like this would be a really good time for you to give people a clear idea of what Sensi is and why you decided to bring it to Pittsburgh.
Okay, yeah. So Sensi Magazine is a pro-cannabis free monthly magazine that started in Denver and is now in 15 cities nationwide. And I wanted to bring this to Pittsburgh because I really wanted to find a way to change the stigma around cannabis, especially once things passed in a medical sense a few years ago. It was important for our community to understand that this is a changing time and it's important for us to think about cannabis in a new way. So what better way than to have a lovely monthly edition that you can give out to, Pittsburghers all over. And we are in everywhere from dispensaries to coffee shops and all of this prior to everything that has now happened. This would have been our 6th month of being in print. So it was a very new magazine to Pittsburgh, but something that we're seeing has had a lot of success in other cities. And just as someone who loves my city and loves cannabis, this was something that was really important to me to bring to my hometown.
That's pretty amazing, but you already pulled out, but I have.
Oh, you have all the, I love that.
I have mine. I keep them right on my ottoman in my living room. And when humans used to be able to come over, I mean, no one ever just let them sit there. Everybody always looks through them and says how cool they are. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
They are great. So, and then, of course, we just talked about how like things are ridiculous right now.
Right.
So with everything being shut down and people staying in, physical events are impossible and foot traffic isn't really a thing at the moment. What business changes did you have to make to keep the magazine up and running?
It's been a complete upside down. I mean, we can't have print on newsstands right now. People aren't going to pick it up. We're not even supposed to be leaving our homes right now. This means that we have to give this information in a whole new way. And we very much were a print publication first and foremost, and forward-facing event business where we were producing these massive events and also trying to do these business-to-business networking events. So now everything has a new look and feel to it. So we launched something new called sensicares.org, which is a website that's going to just celebrate all of the positive things that our communities are doing during this time, because this is unprecedented for all of us. It's not just that, we all had to adapt to working from home. We're all working from home because there's a global pandemic and everything is upside down, which means everything in terms of media and everything that we were doing is going to have to be looked at in a different way. So we know that it might be difficult to put the actual print publication out right now. So we're trying to adapt in a lot more digital ways, amping up our social media, launching this new platform with Sensi Cares. We also have an app that we've been working on that's going to help our businesses connect with each other, especially in the cannabis space nationwide. So it's a lot of pivoting and a lot of things that we were not expected or thinking that we were going to be doing. This is our 4/20/20 issue, and things have been like completely upside down. So it's not exactly where we thought we were going to be, but we took it inward and realized that this is something bigger than even cannabis. And so we're the media sponsors for a telethon happening on 4/20 called Chronic Relief. It's happening all day, and all of the proceeds are going to be going to feeding America, because we realize that there are a lot of people in a lot of difficult situations right now, and what better way as a cannabis community than to come together and give back to people in a really big way.
That's actually pretty amazing. I didn't realize that was happening, but I'm glad you announced it here. I'm actually, so this is, well, it's obviously the 19th today, but I'm going to try to get this out tomorrow. So hopefully if, your posts don't reach people, hopefully this will then kind of amplify that message a little bit more from my network. So moving a little deeper into it, just getting into kind of the history and then where we're at presently. Cannabis has been vilified for decades, and the general public has been lied to about it for the better part of a century.
Mm-hmm.
What is the biggest falsehood about cannabis you would love to dispel right here, right now?
I will even take it a step further and say there's nothing left to dispel. Cannabis has been deemed essential during this entire pandemic. It's right next to pharmacies and other essential things. I think that really, as a nation, we need to recognize that and see that this was always a falsehood, and that in a time when people really need it for their just livelihood, to be able to survive and to be able to deal with so many different conditions that cannabis can be helpful for. There's no denying now that cannabis is essential, and that all of the things that have led up till now, let's forget it. The reefer madness needs to end, and we need to realize that no one has ever died from cannabis. There is nothing negative about the plant at all, other than all the stigmas that have been put on it by racism and politics over generations, and it's time to stop it right now.
I couldn't agree more. And I've always thought that this was kind of amazing. There was like a video that I saw one time of Henry Ford beating the hell out of a car that he actually made from hemp. He made like the body from hemp. And then I looked into it. I was like, what can you do with this plant? You can literally do everything with hemp. Like It's like a miracle plant. Like, so from paper to clothes to car bodies to the roads.
Concrete, you can make concrete out of it.
Right.
And besides all the medicinal things, so exactly what you're saying. I mean, we're in Pennsylvania. I mean, we are in many cases, if we had to get back to like the ultra sense of being farmers and what we can do in our agriculture in our state, getting back to hemp and using cannabis in this way for agriculture in a whole new sustainable sense could really bring so much money to our state. And so it has all these amazing qualities and its medicinal scent, but also when you think about what it can do for commerce and helping us in Pennsylvania and nationwide, I mean, it's really this time I'm hoping, while everybody is really having a moment to reflect and take maybe a lot of the things that they thought about the world into perspective, that this is a time to really end this stigma and realize how we can benefit from this plant in so many different ways. Yeah,
for sure. And I mean, it goes to like, we want to be able to get the economy and everything back so quickly because, everything is in shambles right now. And this is a plant that it's cheap to get, I guess, cultivate. It grows quickly. And it's unbelievably durable with like minimal effort. You basically don't have to do a whole lot. You just put like, I guess it's kind of where it came, like the nickname weed came from. Like it's kind of that, in that sense. It's not a difficult plant to manage. So, and with all of its uses, it would be wise for the US to start, taking advantage of that. But yeah, so it's no secret cannabis is medicinal. We've said it a bunch already. And most of its legal designations revolve around it being used for medical treatment. So hypothetically, if cannabis became recreationally legal on a federal level tomorrow, Now that they have access, what medical benefits should the public be aware of that they could consider taking advantage of?
So anyone can purchase it, 18 years or older, 21 years older. I would consider using cannabis for things like anxiety, dealing with stress, dealing with either if you need to suppress your appetite or if you need to have more appetite, for all sorts of other ailments, dealing with any kind of pain, chronic relief of any sort, especially if you have trouble sleeping. It can really, certain strains can really help with insomnia. There, of course, I'm not speaking outside of just all of the truly medicinal things. I think as humans, we all have different stresses that we're dealing with right now. And it's going to be real. We're dealing with a collective trauma that we've never really experienced before. And I think that cannabis has all these just natural medicinal things that would help anyone. And I think that a lot of folks that may be using it just for recreational reasons if they look a little deeper, may find that there is a deeper reason why they need it in their life to help them find other ways to cope with what they have going on in their own life. And that's the human response. And that this plant gives us the ability to let a lot of that stress go. And I'm certainly not someone to say that it's the right thing for everyone. I think with CBD on the market, everything from complete CBD isolates to being able to do a broad spectrum with the 0.3% THC that's legal for all CBD products, to being able to get your medical card and go into a dispensary and get a 1-to-1 THC to CBD mix, which is really good for a lot of people that deal with anxiety, and they won't feel necessarily a high, but can feel a manage of their stress and anxiety start to level out. And that ability right there can make someone be able to go throughout their day and live their life in a much more wonderful way. And so what you may feel is recreational, there may be even some deeper ways that, I feel that the cannabis plant can be benefiting people in many ways.
I mean, that's perfect. Since we're on the medical topic, you were gracious enough to give me the green light to share that you recently became a medical marijuana card holder. I know people have a ton of questions about this, especially with the situation we find ourselves in right now. First off, can you get a medical marijuana card in the midst of the stay-at-home shutdown situation? And if so, how?
Yes, you certainly can get your card right now. And everything has been slightly adjusted with our Department of Health because of the pandemic that we're in right now. So typically you would make an in-person appointment with a physician for you to be seen, and you would go over your medical history with that professional, and they would make a recommendation for you to get your medical marijuana card. Because we're not able to have those in-person meetings with physicians right now, they have allowed us to have telemedicine appointments. And that's what I set up with my physician. So I was able to, luckily, because I've been working in this amazing industry and I've got to meet a lot of really wonderful doctors and attorneys and medical professionals and everything in the cannabis industry, I was lucky enough to meet Dr. Spar at Spectrum Family. She's on our advisory board, and she was able to meet with me via telemedicine and give me a recommendation of anxiety and also my recommendation for my card. And her office handled all of the paperwork for me with the Department of Health. Now, it normally comes pretty quickly. It's usually less than a week, but you can imagine that during all of this and the hours that everyone is working around the clock to deal with COVID-19, that there was a little bit of a delay. So it took me a couple extra weeks to get my card in the mail, and they pull your license picture, so I didn't have to get any other kind of new photo or anything like that, and everything was just put right onto a separate card. I believe I have it here. So it's just like a little patient card that you give to the dispensary upon your first arrival. But being, again, that this is a part of a pandemic, I was a little concerned about what that would look like, right, to go for the first time, because you do have to see a pharmacist in the state of Pennsylvania when you go to a dispensary for the first time. So I was aware of that, and I knew that that was going to happen. So I went to Saliva Wellness in Cranberry, and I met like an amazing staff that was completely covered in masks, and I had my mask on, and I was prepared, and everything was was clean and prepared, and there was a glass where I could like hold up my card to a plexiglass so they could just scan it without there having to be that contact, which protects the people that are our frontliners that are working in the dispensaries, which I really appreciated as well. And I was able to see a physician and talk about my condition and the types of reasons and things, what I would need cannabis for, and was able to get everything. But now that I'm no longer a one-time patient, I'll be able to order online and go through a much swifter fast track system, so that going into the facility is not going to nearly take me as much time. But while I was there, I felt that everything was completely above and beyond in compliance, and they were my very first cannabis client in the industry, and so I wanted to make sure that I visited with them and went through that process, and it was fantastic. So I want to make sure that if you are considering getting your card, you can use a telemedicine. There's nothing to fear with going to the dispensaries right now, that they are meeting all the guidelines to ensure that while you're there, you're safe. They only let 10 people in at a time. We waited outside just like at Trader Joe's with the 6 feet in front, outside. So as long as you're prepared to just take a little extra time and to do your part to, be cautious and cover your face and do that out of respect of the people that are working at the dispensaries. Like I really feel that, now is certainly a time that you should consider getting a medical card in PA.
Well, with that recommendation, who qualifies for a medical card?
Well, I would say that, the best thing to do is to go to the Department of Health's website and look through the 20-some medical conditions to see if you qualify for any of the medical conditions that are listed. You have to have a recommendation from a physician having one of those qualifications in order to get it in the state of Pennsylvania. There's no way around it. You have to do that. Now, you can get a recommendation of one of those qualifications from someone that's not your primary care physician. So if your PCP doesn't believe in medical cannabis, that doesn't mean that you can't get medical cannabis. It just means that you may need to find, and there's a whole list of physicians on the website, find someone else that you could go and see, that you can talk to, that may potentially even be able to give you a diagnosis that's on that list, which includes everything from chronic pain to anxiety, like I mentioned. But you do need to get that qualification. So I would say definitely go to the website, look through all the medical conditions, and then see if you have a physician. Great. If not, there are lots and lots, and I am here to help, the community. Many people come and message me about who they can talk to, and I'm always an open book to help anyone that has questions about this.
Well, then I hope that everybody heeds you on that. She's just said it right here. So if you're watching, you can message Gina and she'll guide you.
I will.
You've already mentioned it a little bit, but I don't know if you wanted to go in any further about how cannabis workers have been deemed essential and kind of the hypocrisy of that, considering it's still federally illegal. I don't know if you want to go in any harder in the paint on that or not.
I would love to, because I'm still thinking about all the folks that are sitting in jail right now with nonviolent offenses that really we're going to say that it's deemed essential, but there's people sitting in jail right now for it. So, right now, we cannot lose sight that this is a movement and a time for us to focus on the fact that cannabis, if it's essential, then we need to take a look at these laws and we need to make sure that we're looking cannabis in a different way. And everything is going to be different after post-pandemic, or however we want to say it. But I really feel that the way that we look at this plant and the way that it can be involved in our health and wellness needs to have a serious reconsideration. And this is proving why, big time.
Absolutely. I think it's absolutely insane that people are in jail for nonviolent cannabis related issues, and the government is literally profiting off of selling marijuana right now. I find that bonkers. And there's something massively unethical about that. But before we shift the focus, is there any additional information you want to tell people about cannabis and or issues surrounding it?
Well, just that specifically right now, beyond the telemedicine portion that we talked about, certain dispensaries will be allowed to do curbside pickup. So if you want to do that, that's something to definitely look into to make sure that your dispensary offers something like that. The online ordering, you're also able to order up to a 3-month supply so that you don't have to go back to the dispensary as often. But we definitely just want to make sure that folks are making sure that they're looking into, the constantly changing laws around this and to get active about it. And if you, want to see home grow, if that's important to you, if you, want to see, folks incarcerated over this, be let free, then it's up to us right now to speak up about it. It's really our duty to make sure that this is changed once and for all.
Perfect. Couldn't say it any better. So here we are on Zoom instead of sitting in a room together with a couple of drinks.
Right.
This has basically become essential for maintaining relationships. You are a business owner, a parent, a friend, a spouse. Those all come with their own relationships and also hardships in maintaining. How are you as a human doing in the wake of all of this?
What a very sweet question to ask about the humanity behind it all, because I feel like as a small business owner trying to survive, that hasn't really been an important question. It seems like we're supposed to just push it all down deep right now and hope that, the fact that we're not sure whether or not there are going to be special events or concerts or anything of the like. And my Easy Street Promotions business completely depends on whether or not we're going to be able to gather in groups of more than 50 people. So it's really a day by day and trying to figure out whether or not on the business side of things that there may have to be a lot of different looks at how we're going to gather and how are we going to connect in a community way if we can't get together for music and art events and things like that. And maybe we will be doing a lot more things like this, but in a public facing sense where we can have, many people on a call together, or we can enjoy, art or music at the same time. So I'm going to be really interested in seeing how that happens. But right now that's a day by day, just anxiety that I deal with. I also have a 6-year-old. So as a mom, I'm trying to figure out how to be on calls all day and deal with teaching kindergarten, which I'm not complaining about because I know a lot of people have way more kids than one and are teaching like all sorts of high school stuff that they might not need, understand. Like it's not geometry, it's, doing art projects, but it's still a lot because she needs a constant attention. So that's this whole new variety of being able to have her understand that I have to have my work time, whether it be a Saturday or Sunday, or whether it be day, night, and when I have my time where I'm completely present, where all of the technology is put away and we just play Lego, or we do art, or we make music together as a family. And it's going to have to be like that for a while. And so it's just us making the best of trying to be creative. If I can think about this from a little 6-year-old mind looking back, I want her to think she had this like ultimate vacation instead of even knowing that she was in a global pandemic. And that might be an optimistic way to think of it, but I'm just going to keep telling myself that if she keeps getting all this surrounded by all this love and, all this, time that we're spending with her right now, that she may not have that collective trauma that the adults are all feeling right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even adults before this started, we kind of came up with like the staycation, like where we wouldn't actually leave town, but like maybe we would just take a couple of days off and do something, that was not readily available to us with when work in the way. So you're basically giving her like the staycation of her dreams, which is actually kind of amazing. But so just I've been urging that people, this is such a crazy thing that's out of our control. And, assuming that you don't have larger things to worry about, which many people do, people need to find a way to still have fun in this, to still like keep their sanity in all of this. Have you been able to do anything fun with your time, learning anything new, getting back to something you haven't had time for in a while, anything like that?
Well, I'm taking an online cannabis course because people are being really generous with their time. And so there's a lot of different people that are offering different classes and things like that for free. So I've just been looking into a lot of different things that I can learn while I'm in this time. I also started writing again. I went to school for creative writing at Pitt, and I just have been journaling a lot and thinking a lot about how this can turn into art. And my husband's a musician, and so we've just been working on like a lot of just focusing on music and making sure that my daughter's around music and learning songs that she wants to sing and doing things together as a family that we can, again, encourage her to be creative during this time as well.
That's really awesome. That's super awesome. And well, I guess kind of segueing from that, people are using the internet right now for some pretty awesome things. Has there been anybody in particular standing out to you that you might want to shout out and send like some love their way, some attention, whatever?
Well, there's actually someone that's working with me at Sensi. His name Chris Foltz, and he's launched this whole new sensicares.org website that we just started at Sensi. And I just have to give him a lot of props because he has been putting in so much time and listening to so many different ideas from so many publishers across the country. We all have opinions and want this to be something great because we want to make sure that we have something to offer our clients while we're in this, transition between, we have all this amazing news to share about our community and ways that people are giving back and making community impact. And so to have someone on our team that's really helping us put that into the forefront, that's been really exciting. And just seeing pretty much all the leaders within our company at Sensi coming together and trying to do good for our communities and just cannabis in general has been really exciting. And with the telethon that we're doing for chronic relief and what David Tran and Fairchild Events has really brought to the forefront, they're bringing together all these different cannabis companies and businesses. And instead of just giving back to the cannabis industry, they're giving back to feeding America, and we get to be a part of that. So that's really exciting. And so for me, for 420 and this being a holiday for everyone in the cannabis industry, to say that we're going to take this moment to give back to the greater good, that's something that I'm really proud of being a part of. And the people that are all a part of this, that are on my team and this growing team that we have nationwide, it's really exciting for me. So even though we're like a small little town and growing community in Pittsburgh, in terms of our Pittsburgh cannabis community is small, at least I feel like we're grounded and rooted in something that's really impactful nationwide.
That's incredible. I'm definitely going to check out more of that because I wasn't really super aware of it until just now, but I really,
we just launched it like a day or two ago, ulay. Wow. So this is all just brand new. We're just trying to figure out how we can put out some content right now about what's happening in the positive impact that all of our communities are making right now, Sensi nationwide. And this website is a way for us to really put that in the forefront.
Well, perfect. Well, that makes me feel I haven't been missing anything yet. So people are like, oh, there's no FOMO anymore. I'm like, well, no, there is. We're still doing stuff. There's things that people are doing just virtually now.
That's right.
So we wanted to use this as a way for people to connect a little more since we're forced to be so isolated right now. Before we bring this to a close, is there anything that you want to ask the people watching? It can be anything.
Yeah, anything. I'm gonna keep it focused on cannabis since that's been our thought and our conversation this time. That I am questioning whether or not after cannabis is deemed essential, that you feel as a collective that cannabis should now be legalized nationwide. And I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on that.
All right, everybody, tag her in the comments and say your piece. So I better hear a resounding yes. And I don't mean to be be.
But I want to hear why if it's no too, because that's what's going to make us stronger. So, let me have it.
Fair enough. Yeah. And I also don't want to be influencing the vote. So ignore what I just said, guys. Lastly, tell people where they can reach you, your website, your social media, etc.
Yeah, so you can check us out at sensimag.com. Sensicares.org is the new project that I just talked about. Gina.Vensel at sensimag.com. And you can check me out on Instagram at Gina_SensiPGH.
Awesome. Gina, thank you for taking the time. This was incredible. I learned just a lot just listening from you. You're just a wealth of knowledge, and I don't know. I hope to be able to have some drinks with you soon instead of doing this. I definitely I miss our meetings.
I absolutely do too. And thank you so much for having me, and keep doing these because this is how we're going to stay connected. So thank you so much.
Hey, I never thought that this was something that I'd ever get into. I got to be honest, loving it. I'm really, really enjoying this. I like communicating with people, and I like this avenue of having like this good faith conversation that we then share with people.
I love it too. And I wish you the best. So thank you so much. Be
All
well.
right. Yeah. Take care.
Take care.